Did you hear the song that sounds like that Punky Chips Ahoy?
You know what really makes us mad? Is wasting money on CDs with only one or two good songs.
Yeah. Tell them about punk.
What's up, posers?
God damn it, you stepped on my line.
Yep. What's up, posers?
All right, what's up, posers?
What's up, posers?
I was introing this one.
You should. We should switch it up. Do it.
Okay, go ahead. Do it. No.
What's up, posers?
I don't know the line. Do it again.
What?
What?
I'm leaving all this in. What's up, posers? Welcome to Punk Lotto Pod, the game where no one wins. We need a new catchphrase. I'm your co-host, Justin Hensley.
Which part do you want to get rid of?
The game where no one wins?
I think that's the better line, but all right.
Oh, what would you change? You want to get rid of what's up, posers?
I don't care.
What do you want to change? You clearly have an opinion.
It's fine.
Ugh, no, it doesn't mean it's not fine. This is the show where
I just don't think you should start the show off by insulting our listeners, but no, it's fine.
We are a bunch of posers, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. If you call them posers first, they can't call you posers.
Yeah. We can't,
It's self-defense.
Family.
No.
This is the show where, using a number generator and the Rate Your Music Punk charts, we choose one album and one EP at random to discuss. This is a weird one already. We were supposed to have a guest for this episode. Hey, did you say who you were?
They know who I am. If this is, for some reason, the first time you're listening, it's probably because you're a fan of one of the bands that we're gonna... I'm gonna go ahead and show our hand that we're about to crap all over. So turn it off now.
We don't want your one-star review.
If you have been listening and you're tired of hearing us whine about one-star reviews, please go give us a one-star review. And specifically call us out for always complaining about that. My name is Dylan Hensley. I am the other co-host on every single episode of this show.
One of these,
all 500 and how many episodes have we done?
We did 65. This is 66. God, this should have been our metal episode.
We were in the 50s.
Nope, we're in the 60s. 6.
Well, we are doing the year 1982, which is the year in which Iron Maiden released their album, The Number of the Beast. So it is appropriate.
Except they're a metal band, and we're not talking about them.
No, but hey, I tied it in.
Hey,
there we go. You can play an Iron Maiden clip at the end.
Was Iron Maiden ever on any TV shows where they
What's the line? Maiden, the gods that we praise. Oh, Maiden and priest were the gods that we praise. You gotta do the Sum 41. There you go.
Oh,
that's your clip. Fat lip.
I don't think I've ever used a song as a clip at the end.
I don't know. Is there a heavy metal parking lot clip you could use?
I guess
you gotta watch all of Heavy Metal Parking Lot.
I'm sure. Yeah. Oh, I sure hope we find something better than that to use as our clip.
We'll see.
I don't know. I'm looking at our albums that we're talking about. I don't know what we're going to reference in them, but yeah, so...
Anyway, yes, this episode is starting off really weird because our groove is totally thrown off. Unfortunately, our guest was not able to make it for this episode. Just some scheduling snafus.
Yeah, I mean,
we're recording this the week of Thanksgiving, so we fully expected to do this one by ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so here we are.
We had originally asked Corey because he lives in Canada and their Thanksgiving happened in October. So I thought, hey, he's not doing anything this week. Turns out he was very busy. And then,
hey, Corey, you're not doing anything.
And then we didn't ask Paul. I'm just going to talk directly to our regulars. because it was Thanksgiving. I assumed Paul's busy. And, all right, what are we doing? Jesus.
It's the year 1982.
Yes, and as usual, we like to take a look at the Rate Your Music charts.
Ronald Reagan is president.
We should do like a movie.
It's a new day.
It's fucking midnight. That Keith Morris line sticks out to me. Well, this is the second time we have talked about the year 1982. Speaking of Keith Morris, we previously talked about the Circle Jerks album "Wild in the Streets," which I believe gave us a negative, got us a negative review.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot.
I fully expect another one after this episode. So
we get the negative reviews when we talk about 70s and 80s records. So
anyway,
what was the EP on that episode? Oh, that was Articles of Faith.
At this point, I'm proud of our negative reviews.
Yeah, because it's people who clearly don't get it. God, we need to stop talking about negative reviews. It sounds like we're real petty.
I mean, we are,
Yeah.
but we don't want to sound like it.
No. All right.
You can edit as much of this as you want or leave it in.
Who's listening? I mean, really, who's listening? 1982.
You can leave it in.
I'm
All right. Anyway,
we're a third-rate podcast. Does anybody want to advertise on this show?
third rate might be generous.
We should have joined that podcast network.
Call him.
He wants the conference call. You should be on the line.
Fine, we'll do it. Be abrasive as hell. See if they still want to do it. Yeah, what? Cool.
Yeah, what?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Well, I emailed him back after...
Yeah, I'm just at the drive-thru right now.
He emailed me, and then I emailed somebody else on his network to see if it's a good thing. And then they were like, yeah, it's pretty good. You should at least let him talk to you. So then I emailed him back asking him, yeah, we can talk. And then he never responded. So I'm assuming...
He listened to the show.
That may have been it.
Yeah. Ooh.
So if you own a podcast network and you would like to include us on there, remember that one guy?
In addition to Tenderfoot.
Tenderfoot TV.
I thought his name was Peyton for like 3 years.
What is it?
Payne.
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 He doesn't tell you his name, does he?
He says I'm Payne Lindsay. And I thought he was just saying Peyton with his accent.
ZipRecruiter.
Because every two-syllable word is a one-syllable word for him.
We're here.
So I just thought his name was Peyton. It made more sense to me than Payne.
Come for the Crass review. Stay for the Payne Lindsay critiques. For all your hot up and vanished takes.
Show was a waste of time.
Which one? Which one?
Up and vanished?
The first one, he solved a crime.
He didn't solve it.
They solved it because
it was only interesting because there were new developments as he was doing the show. But then everything else he did was like, and then they don't know what happened.
Yeah, that woman in Denver.
It's like, you didn't solve. Oh my God, that one took forever to get anywhere.
The Colorado one.
I felt like Katie was listening to the same episodes over and over again. I was like, I swear you listened to this already. Just talking about the freaks in some Colorado town. Like,
I like that in the first season he was like going down a completely different path, and then the story broke, and he's like, "Well, cancel all that shit. We were going to accuse the boyfriend of some stuff again."
Yeah.
And then they like apologized to him.
The Atlanta Monster one.
That was a legit show. I feel like
that one wasn't. I guess that wasn't Up and Vanished, was it?
No, that's Atlanta Monster.
But I mean, it was a Tenderfoot.
Tenderfoot.
But even that one, I felt like he was trying to do like a serial, like maybe he didn't really do it kind of thing.
I think halfway through he just changed his opinion.
Well, because he must have like actually read up on the case a little more. Because like the guy they arrested probably didn't do all of it. This is a true crime podcast review show. But, like, he definitely did something.
Yeah, he definitely killed somebody.
So,
I think he just took the fall for all, 30-something?
yeah.
Mindhunter is a better use of that story than his podcast, but so I guess we're never going to be on Tenderfoot TV.
Yeah. He's going to listen to all 66 episodes and say, no, they don't meet my standards.
He's going to make a podcast about us.
Just a smear.
A smear job.
Anyway, what are we talking about this week?
Oh, we've tried to start so many times now. The year 1982. We should start a movie lotto pod.
We needed a lot of filler. Hey, have you ever messed around with don't they have like a rate your music for movies?
Yeah, it's called Letterboxd. There also is.
Yeah, but like
like
Rate Your Music has one.
The company itself, yeah, they do.
Like they have a film charts. But yeah, Letterboxd that's the one everyone uses
because it's stylish.
Yeah.
What's the movie one called?
Well, I think it's on Rate Your Music.
You can just rate movies.
If you go up to the top right, it says film charts.
It's so funny how nothing comes out. Where do you look at film charts?
If you go to the chart page and you look at the top right, it says RIM film charts.
What happens when you go there?
You see
1,000
music
movies?
charts, but for movies.
That's so weird. Why does it portal through the Rate Your Music site? They have like a whole movie site.
I don't know.
Shit. I may just giving myself another job. Movie Lotto Pod.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Yeah. Sorry. God.
1982.
Number one. God, I don't want to do this. Their show was pretty good until they got to like episode 66, and then they just got on this weird like movie tangent.
Well, like it was really bad for like 40 episodes, and then it got pretty good
for like 20,
and then it just dropped off real hard.
They lost a guest.
They insulted all their guests. They won't stop whining about the ratings. Just talking about movies and like podcasts, other podcasts, more successful podcasts.
If we did a movie podcast, it'd be way more successful.
There's too many movie podcasts. I thought of one today. Sweet Talkin', the discography of Electric Light Orchestra, one song at a time.
Oh yeah, I love those like one song at a time podcasts.
Sweet Talkin' ELO.
Are you talking REM to me? Yeah.
Anyway, in 1982, some great punk records came out.
Actually, some really great records came out.
We've talked about how the Dead Kennedys aren't necessarily our favorite punk band. But,
what are you talking about?
We both had our pretty deep Dead Kennedys phase and then stopped listening to them almost altogether.
Yeah, I think it's called listening to something too much. It's
or
you overplay something at a very pivotal moment in your life.
But
like you went to college and you were supposed to like do something after, and you kind of wound up failing out and sleeping on your brother's floor, and then when you break up with your fiance and you just you hook up with an old friend and from community college, and then you stop listening to the Dead Kennedys and start listening to Dillinger 4.
Yeah. Anyway, in 1982, the Dead Kennedys released. I'm just gonna completely breeze over that depressing little sidebar there. They released Plastic Surgery Disasters, which, looking at the track listing on that record, I think I might actually like that one more than Fresh Fruit.
It was always my favorite.
I mean,
When I was driving to my job at the car wash.
your first 4 songs are very Jello, Biafra.
And then I lost
Government Flu,
the car.
Terminal Preppy, Trust Your Mechanic, Well-Paid Scientist. This the kind of takes on things that you're like, oh, that's what you think. Just really weird.
It
Like,
is-
Trust Your Mechanic. That's like, are you paranoid of your mechanic? Like car mechanics?
I mean, that's what that song's about. It makes me. It's also. So I paid $4 to rate your music like 6 months ago, and to give you like some extra little features, and it was supposed to run out after 3 months, but it's apparently not. Every single song on the record, like when you pay for it, you get individual track ratings as well.
Yeah.
So every single song on the record is a 4.0 or higher, except for Trust Your Mechanic and Dead End.
Yeah.
I don't even
Yeah.
remember what Dead End is.
Yeah. Because it's between I Am the Owl and Moon Over Marin, which are
Yeah. 2
of their best songs.
Yeah, they
Like,
really
in
are.
their entire discography. I have always loved I Am the Owl. It's always been one of my favorite Dead Kennedys songs. And it's such a... No one ever talks about that song.
No. Well, people barely talk
so
about this
good.
record. They talk about Frankenchrist more than they talk about this one. Which, Frankenchrist's fine. It's fine. It's definitely the 3rd best Dead Kennedys record.
Yeah.
Better than Bedtime for Democracy, but it's...
Yeah.
I guess because it's got Jocko Rama on it.
But, yeah. But, Buzz Bomb, Forest Fire, Halloween, Winnebago Warrior, Riot, Me for Me, I Am the Owl. That's a great record. I might have to actually revisit that one soon.
Yeah.
It's been a really, really long time. But, yeah, but also in 82, we've got Bad Brains, Bad Brains.
Bad brains, bad brains. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when you move to New York City? What's on that record?
It's that album cover.
The Lightning Bolt. For some reason, Your Music is showing the tape version only as the artwork.
Yeah. The different edition, that's the record that has, like, because there's the ROIR sessions, which is the same songs.
Yeah.
But it's also called Attitude.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
And that's got, that album cover too. But yeah, most versions of this one has the lightning bolt cover.
Mm-hmm.
But that's got Sailing On, Attitude, Regulator, Abandoned DC.
Is it the best?
Super Touch, Big Takeover, Pay to Come, Right Brigade. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Because Rock for Light had too much reggae on it.
Yeah, that one's got Feels Vampire Killers and... Well, no, it's kind of a lot of the same songs, though. Abandoned DC, Sailing On. But
I can never remember which version has the better sounding versions of those songs.
I think it's the tape.
Yeah.
I think the Rock for Light remaster, the CD version is mastered at the wrong speed, so they all sound like chipmunks, and that's the version that's on Spotify. So I never listened to that record because do they even have the first album on Spotify? They probably do.
I want to say they do, but
it may be labeled as the Roar tape or or it may be called Attitude.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's just called Bad Brains. It's on there. So now you know. Number 4 is The Fall, Indication Hour?
Hex Induction Hour.
Induction. I don't know why I had a hard time reading the word induction, but maybe I should have stayed in college and that's one of the earlier Fall records. Is that... I wish Ann was here for this.
Yeah.
It's one of the best ones, right? It's one of the fan favorites. Yeah, it's one of the highest rated and most reviewed. So
that's the 4th record. Yeah. That one and This Nation's Saving Grace. Those are the 2 Fall records that most people listen to.
Yeah.
From what I've seen. Which, Live at the Witch Trials, Dragnet, Grotesque, they all have a pretty high number of ratings as well. But yeah, Hex Induction and then Nation Saving Grace.
Yeah.
I remember some of the songs from this record from Anne's playlist.
Mm-hmm. If I remember correctly, this one was her favorite, right?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
Maybe.
I'm going to cut that out. I don't remember.
Yeah. We've got Verses by Mission of Burma.
Hell yeah. God, I want to talk about this record instead. Why haven't we got...
Verses... Yeah, we haven't done Mission of Burma yet.
God.
Why haven't we not done that? I mean, we haven't done the Sex Pistols yet either. So
It's true, we haven't.
we have talked about them so many times on the show, though. But, yeah, this is the first full-length. Though, if I remember correctly, Signals, Calls, and Marches came out before.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one. But Verses is great.
Yeah, Signals is technically an EP. Even though
Yeah.
it's like... It's basically...
It's a long EP.
Yeah, I mean, it's on an LP. It's long enough. But, yeah, Versus is... Yeah, it's not the one, I guess. But it's also one that people listen to the most. It's funny.
Yeah,
there's so
I mean,
many
it has That's
different
How I
versions.
Escaped My Certain Fate. And that's probably the most standout track on the record. But I remember listening to that record so much in college. That and Signals. We've got Walk Among Us by the Misfits.
Yep. That's the Misfits to listen to, right? Like, that's full of...
Well,
What's the first official record?
right.
Like, full length.
Because Static Age was shelved.
Right. And a lot of those tracks show up on here. It has that weird live version of Mommy Can I Go Out and Kill Tonight on it. Yeah, I don't... you know what? I don't really love the B-side to Walk Among Us. I'd honestly just rather listen to Collection 1 and 2 or Legacy of Brutality.
Yeah, Misfits, you
You don't need to listen to their albums.
don't have to. You really don't.
Like
I mean, even a lot of their big songs I don't want to listen to anymore.
No, because I've definitely heard all of them too many times.
Yeah, they're really offensive.
Yeah, for the most
And like genuinely offensive, not like campy offensive.
Yeah,
Moving on.
right.
X, Under the Big Black Sun.
Might be my favorite X record.
Easily my favorite. But I love X.
Yeah. Even their bad albums I like.
Like, I know See How We Are is kind of a weird one, but I like it a lot. I listen to a lot of those songs pretty often. But yeah, Under the Big Black Sun is very easily their best.
I think it's their best album overall, but maybe Los Angeles has some of the better just single songs, you know? Johnny Hit and Run Pauline, and Nausea, and Los Angeles.
I mean, Los Angeles is a great record from beginning to end.
It is.
Like, I know all of these songs. Just reading the song titles, I can hear the tune of the song. Like, they're all standout tracks. It's very, very close, but I don't know. There's just something a little bit special about Under the Black Sun.
Yeah.
Just puts it right over the edge.
Number 9 is Faith Void Split. The only thing by either band I really listened to, I think. Does Faith have anything else? That's the Alec Mackay band, correct? They have like 2 EPs.
Yeah. Void has a little bit more, I think, from what I remember.
Yeah. It's so funny that the Faith Void Split is more popular than any of their other recorded music, though. I guess because it was actually an LP.
Well,
Void doesn't have anything either.
They really didn't have anything.
That Void side is so cool. I think that's what's so great about the split.
Yeah.
The Faith side's good, but the guitar work on the Faith side or the Void side is just crazy, especially for a hardcore record.
Is this... I've always had it in my mind that this is the first punk split. Is this the first split release?
I don't know. Where does the idea of a split release come from?
Because I feel like if you think of like all-time classic punk splits, like this is the first one that's gonna come to mind.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And I can't...
It's pretty much... I'm literally...
I mean, there had been a lot of comps at this time. But
Yeah. A lot of comps. Does SST... The format was pretty much adopted by, like, the punk and hardcore and scene in the 80s.
Is there a way to pull splits? No.
Because they're not actually listed as various artists either.
Yeah. If someone can think of an earlier punk split album or EP or single, whatever you want to call it, send us an email.
Yes.
Because I would love to know. And this is such a hard thing. That's such a hard thing to research.
It really is.
I mean, you've just got to go through like every single, every EP, every album.
Yeah.
By year. I don't know. This seems like it's the one. This is where it starts, and this is where punks got the idea of doing split releases.
The only other thing I can think of is that maybe there was a UK, like some UK split singles, like just one song.
And I mean, like a split single, that's an older concept.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a record label thing, though.
Yeah.
That's just like, hey, here's some songs that are
Here's
popular right now.
The two most popular songs we own.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Milo went to college in 1982.
Yes. The best Descendents, right?
Yeah, sure. Generic Flipper.
Hey, there's our friends.
Let's move on quickly.
Yep.
Miami by the Gun Club.
Sure.
Great record. Super cool. I love that album cover. That's such a cool album cover. I love that record. Kiss in the Dream House by Susie.
Yep. We may be talking
Susie's
about
great.
that one day.
Yes. What else do we see this year?
God, there's the
See our
birthday
album.
party. Birthday party number 16, Junkyard. We heard some of those songs on our episode with Expert Timing. Yeah, there's our album for the episode. So passing that.
You see anything else? The Record by Fear.
Yeah.
Forever Now by Psychedelic Furs.
After the Snow by Modern English. Millions of Dead Cops by MDC. The Damned Strawberries. Very,
Scores.
very, very, very underrated record. I think that little era of The Damned is underappreciated. Black Album, Strawberries, and yeah, those two. Because everybody loves the self-titled, or Damn Damn Damn, and everybody loves Machine Gun Etiquette, but I think Black Album and Strawberries are also very good. Before they switched into full goth with Phantasmagoria.
Which is also still a pretty good record.
Yeah, that record's really good.
Combat Rock. It's the big Clash sellout record.
Oh yeah, that's the one that nobody likes, right?
Did they not like that one?
Well, they called them sellouts, right?
And
Then people didn't like it.
right. I mean, it's the Rock the Casbah record.
Oh, I hate that song.
I like it.
Flex Your Head Comp by Discord Records, which kind of just introduced everybody to a bunch of bands that didn't do much else. Some of them.
And page 2, there's not much I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So,
it punks.
there's like what, the first Sonic Youth record when they still had a hyphen in their name.
You know, it's funny. 1982, for being so early into like hardcore and like some of the biggest hardcore albums or boom periods, I guess, it's got a lot of really cool stuff right off the top, but otherwise it's not that great. There's people missing. Like,
I mean,
no Black
if you get
Flag,
a little
no Minor
further
Threat.
Back, you've got Kids Will Have Their Say by SSD Control. I'm surprised that's not higher.
Well, it's because this is Boston, not LA.
Yeah.
It came out too. It's a weird.
But yeah.
year.
I mean, there's no Flag. There's no Screw hadn't started yet. There's no.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they hadn't started releasing albums yet. There's no Minutemen records.
Is this a good year for punk?
I mean, I don't know. It's got some really good stuff, and then it's got some all right stuff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's bad, but
I just feel like it's weighted, I guess. Like the good stuff is really good,
yeah.
and the not good stuff is not good at all. It's interesting. It's a weird year to be in the middle of a hardcore boom and to not really have that many hardcore records. But we can talk about that a little bit more with our EP, because I did make a little bit of note about specifically hardcore records in '82. So I guess we can get into our album with hesitation. We were hoping to have some help on this one, but
To best understand this album, you must first be familiar with the 1982 album 1999 by Prince.
I'd rather be talking about that album.
Would you?
Maybe.
You ever listen to Prince albums?
Yeah. I listened to Purple Rain. That's probably it.
There's a lot of filler.
He was prolific.
Yeah. They can't all be winners, so.
Yeah. They can't all be the Batman soundtrack. Alright, our album this week is number 17 on the Rate Your Music charts, and it is Crass and their album Christ the Album.
We must beat the bomb and the gun. We must protect the law-abiding citizen wherever they are in the United Kingdom, always.
The police and the soldiers are required, if necessary, to shoot to kill to maintain order. That is civil defense in nuclear war.
Beg the question, bend the truth, bail out the bedroom while there's holes in the roof. In the beginning, they said it was light. There ain't much left of it now. We're lost in the darkness, and you set a sight of answers to the what or how. We're talking about freedom while we're locked in a cell, dreaming of a world without war. Supposed to live on the bounds of hell, not no one's ever thought of peace before. What's the point of bringing peace if it's something unbuilt? What's the point of talking love, you still ain't real? When the open understood, when the truth is lies. No point of my head, you gotta be in the eyes. Beg the question, bend the truth, bail and the better while there's holes in the roof. In the beginning, they said it was light, but somebody's burning out a fuse.
Some basics out of the way. Crass were an anarchist punk band from Epping, Essex, England.
It's never, ever going to have a British fan base.
They formed in 1977. I wonder if they're one of those bands that was inspired by the Ramones and Sex Pistols. I was reading early on that they were very heavily influenced by The Clash. So, anyway, this is the band's fourth album, and it was released on their own label, Crass Records. It's a double LP. The first disc is what we will be talking about today. The second disc is pretty much live performances and like studio outtakes and basically essentially bonus material.
So that's why it's so long.
Did you listen to all of those too?
No, I didn't get through. I saw that they were live tracks, and I just thought it was like special editions.
Yeah.
Like, which there's like 3 different versions of this album on Spotify.
Yeah, there's the Crassical collections where they like remastered all the Crass records and included like a bunch of bonus material on top. So like the album itself came with bonus material, and then they remastered it and included even more bonus material. That is one unique thing about Crass, is they own their own label. They pressed all their own stuff. We can talk more about that in a second. Personnel on this record, Joy de Vivre on vocals, Steve Ignorant on vocals, Eve Libertine on vocals, Phil Free on guitars and synths, N.A. Palmer on guitar, Pete Wright on bass, and Penny Rimbald on drums. The band produced this record themselves. Very DIY. So, Crass were famous for their politically and socially conscious music. Lots of songs about environmentalism, feminism, animal rights, anti-fascist songs, anti-war songs. They were a huge inspiration for tons of musicians going forward in the punk scene. Most famously, Laura Jane Grace and Against Me, because Against Me essentially wear the same thing as Crass, just like black t-shirts and whatever pants they want to wear, black pants. They are the band that kind of introduced the pay no more than so-and-so dollars on their records that Discord would do later, and even Asian Man would do.
Right.
They wouldn't use stage lighting. They preferred using just regular 40-watt bulbs, which I wonder how hard that was to get a venue to just, all right, just turn on some regular lights. And
yeah, I mean, they probably just turned the house lights on.
Yeah, which kind of cool.
Mean, something that they share with Bruce Springsteen. He actually does a lot of large portions of his shows are like usually like the encore, the last half. It's like the house lights are just on. And you're just like, all right, well, because he's kind of like, you guys are the show too, I guess. So
they were investigated multiple times and prosecuted for like obscenity in their lyrics, because this is a time period where people were put on trial for their lyrics. They were investigated by Scotland Yard, even. This record took almost a year to record. In that time, the Falkland Wars began and ended, causing the band to question how they wrote their music, because they were very in the moment with their writing style, and they felt that they took so long recording, and they were talking about specific things that happened, that by the time
what they were saying, it wasn't relevant anymore.
Exactly. They stopped being, what the lyrics weren't as relevant by the time it came out. So then they tried to go in a more broader sense going forward, but they really only released one other full length after this one. So, they changed their songwriting approach, but
It's like hearing Against Me at Fest this year.
Oh, yeah.
Singing Condoleezza.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that didn't age at all.
Yeah, all the Bush era songs.
I mean, you should still be mad about it because
Yeah.
they got away with all that shit. So I guess there's that. I mean, I think that some specificity in political lyrics can still age in that way. Because if you're reminded of the specifics, like, because I feel like anytime I watch we watched Vice and we watched like the 2000s CNN documentary, and it's just like watching we watched like the Vietnam, the Ken Burns Vietnam documentary, and it's like when you see a lot of those specific details, it's like, like it just makes you mad again.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that can kind of encourage you to pay attention to what's happening currently. So
Yeah.
if you remember what happened before, like in minute detail, I don't know. I think there's some value in that. So
Yeah.
because I feel like when you go broad, it becomes anti-flag, right?
Well, you gotta die for your government, die for your country, that shit. And yeah.
Valid sentiment.
Platitudes.
Right.
Yeah, I guess you become entry-level political punk. Like, you get your Bad Religions and your anti-flags and your Dead Kennedys singing about mechanics fucking with your car. To bring it back.
Weird stuff.
Yeah.
We who do believe the force is justified from a Christian point of view just conceive of certain political, diplomatic conditions whereby a limited exchange of one nuclear weapon on either side would result in the end of the war and peace.
What a relief. At last, our Holy Father has told us exactly where we stand.
Don't want a life of large pretense. Don't want to play at taking defense. Just for my own love, I want to be free. So you can be you, and I can be me. Respectable businessmen, smart, secure. Lead the back to the land that they rob from the bar. The pussy smiling and spring for that night. As you cut to the feet, you think it's the white. The little psychiatrists up and barrel on fence. The ones they call mad after pick up fence. The big speaks calmly, says he's done to relate. While it's imaginary dagger, he's held his own back. Don't want a life of life pretense. Don't want to play at taking defense. Just for my own love, I want to be free. So you can be you, and I can be me. If you're the master or mistress who cares.
So with all that stuff, like Crass were a really cool band that started a lot of really important things that are still felt in punk today, and I sure never want to listen to them.
Crass is
ass. I just said it because it rhymed.
Crass is the very important punk band, the very influential punk band, who I fully respect, who I have never enjoyed listening to. and I can appreciate them for, like, I mean they had the aesthetic, like they had a super cool logo.
Yeah.
I mean, which, had a lot of it wasn't just a cool logo, like it had a lot of symbolism too. Like, and I mean, their whole aesthetic is really cool looking.
Very visually, very arresting, very visually.
Like, it defined punk for, like, I feel like that's, when you think of punk aesthetic, you think of the Crass look. Like, if you've paid attention to punk music past 1980.
Yeah, because
you might think of Sex Pistols if you're
really
out of
Union
touch.
Jacks and ripped up iconography and all that.
Like the streamlined black outfits and like
stencils
and black and white collage work, and I can really, really appreciate their specific influences into bands and artists who I really like. Some of my favorite punk bands are super influenced by Crass. I mean, Sarah Kirsch and all of her bands are clearly influenced by Crass. Even into like the sound collage and like the noisy stuff. So I can appreciate that. Yeah, I just don't like listening to it all that much. And I feel bad saying that because it's actually the kind of art, like experimental art, that I would like to like.
Yeah. Well, I thought about it. Like, this album, literally every single track starts with some form of, like, sample or, like, clip from a TV show or radio broadcast or, you know, actual, like, marches and stuff like that. So, like, I would have gladly listened to only sound collages of stuff like that more than I wanted to listen to the songs on this record.
Yeah. So that was one of the biggest things that stood out to me about this record, is that it has a how to describe it? It has a really interesting texture, more than it has good songwriting.
It's fear that provokes nuclear war, fear that fuels the arms race. America seeks to stay in front. Russia won't fall behind. Although each side can destroy the other many times over, both refuse to call a halt. It is in Europe where NATO plans to counter a theoretical Soviet assault with nuclear weapons, if necessary. Flexible response, it's called.
We depend for our export trade upon selling £1,200 million worth a year of arms.
It's not just the biggest epidemic of our times, but it won't be cured until the patient recognizes that he's sick.
We're looking for a better world, but what do we see? Just hatred, poverty, aggression, misery. So much money spent on war, when the borders of the world is so hopelessly poor. Major General disbanding at his best, planning a new mode of attack. He's quite unconcerned about chance or risk. The Major General's a heart that's a crack. Yes, he designs a cruise missile, tactically sound, operationally okay. While the Stalin crawl onto the death pile, they contemplate their fate another day. Attack on the line, but it causes defense. I ask you again, who's it for?
I do want to say there are a couple of songs on this record that I got into that had a really good riff or groove or whatever. The bass and the drums are, the rhythm section on this record are the strongest point musically to me.
The drums sound so cool, and they're not the most like proficient drumming or the most like technically, you know, I don't know, most technical drumming on the record. You can hear a lot of the flaws in it, but it has such a unique recording quality. Like, I don't know if it's just cheap recording or if they like mic'd it a certain way or the type of studio they use, but there's just this very raw sound that the drums have.
Yeah, I feel like the straightforward songs, like it's the Greatest Working Class ripoff, and there's some others. They just don't really have a hook.
Yeah, they don't really have a hook. There are 15 tracks on this album. It's like a 43-minute album. Too long, way too long.
Yeah,
and a lot of that, I guess, you could chalk it up to all the samples. That adds a lot of length to it. And there's a lot of like noise interludes and lead-ins to songs. It's just like a lot of feedback and just some experimentation and synth work. But there are probably maybe 4 songs on here that I actually enjoyed. Once you get past the samples and the feedback. Like Have a Nice Day, the first track, pretty strong, I think. Who Can Be Who, I liked that one. You Can Be Who, the final track, Major General Despair. And Beg Your Pardon. Like, I thought those were the best songs, best written songs on the album.
Yeah, I really liked Beg Your Pardon.
Yeah.
That was a standout track to me. It had a really good, like, rumbly, chunky, like, drum groove. I thought the vocals were really well used. Like, that style of vocals were really suited to the rhythm and feel of the song. I really like that little bit of, there's just this really high little guitar riff, like they kind of slide up into it, and it's like, and the way it locks in with the bass and drum groove, it's almost like a Talking Heads kind of riff.
Mm-hmm.
That was my favorite song on the record. That was probably the turning point in listening to this album too, for me, to where, because really struggled with the first 4 songs or something.
Yeah. I mean, you texted me the other day. You're like, I don't like Crass.
Yeah. And I bet if I went and tried to listen to this record again, I would probably just listen to this one song. And I feel bad saying that.
Yeah. This is not a man I want to shit on at all. And I don't even really want to call out a lot of the stuff that I don't like.
Yeah, right?
Like, it's like, I respect it too much to be mean to it. Like, I don't like Steve Ignorant's vocals that much, and the guitar playing is weird.
The guitar tone,
yeah,
it's like someone sampled static, like white noise, and played it on a keyboard. Like, it's the most trebly, shittily mic'd guitar sound in the world. I don't even know how they made it sound that way.
It has that quality. I guess their sound was copied. There's with like crust bands. The crust bands were heavily influenced by Crass. That almost Swedish death metal sort of has this little bit of this going on with it. It's just, I don't know what it is. It sounds so strange.
Yeah. It's funny how Crass laid the groundwork for so much like crust and grind.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like when you listen to this, like the songs, like the straightforward songs are more like the Subhumans, or like
more oi,
more like oi, yeah, like real early punk.
Well, I mean, they're very, like I said earlier, they're very heavily influenced by the Clash, and I hear that too. Like, you take all the reggae elements out of Clash's stuff, and it's like the early stuff. Yeah.
But then, like, their philosophy, their recording techniques, their tones, and then, like, all the sound collage and samples and like, all of that fits with, like, is more akin to no wave and industrial. So it's this was the thing that I was thinking about this when I was listening to this album. The 2 kinds of Crass fans that you have ever interacted with in your life. And for me, it's, a Crass back patch on like a crust punk.
Yeah.
Which is probably your typical Crass fan. That's what you think of. And then there's our weird neighbor in high school.
Yeah.
Who listened to like Crass and like Christian death and visual key music and like really weird power violence stuff and harsh noise. It's like Crass appeals to Merzbow fans
and tragedy fans,
right? And they don't seem like they should overlap ever anywhere.
No, I'm assuming it's the sound collage stuff that's really what's appealing that Merzbow group.
Like,
and then
your throbbing gristle fans don't seem like they also listen to Foreskins.
Your Psychic TV fans aren't listening to Drop Dead too.
So they're a weird band. That's what we can say about Crass.
Yeah, I did listen. So, looking at Rate Your Music, we don't want this to be the Rate Your Music podcast, but unless Rate Your Music wants to pay us to be their official podcast, then
they won't.
So, this is a weird one. It's their highest. This is the highest rated Crass album on Rate Your Music. It has a 3.66. The next highest rated album is the second one, Stations of the Crass, with 3.65. And the lowest rated album is the final album, Yes Sir, I Will, with 3.49. The first, 4 Crass records all have 3.58 to 3.66 as, the range. So they're all roughly agreed upon as good records and equally as good. But it is worth mentioning this is one of the least rated albums by them by quite a bit, actually. The first Crass record has 1,700 ratings. It has, nearly 2,000 ratings. Feeding of the 5,000 is nearly 2,000 ratings. This record has 676.
Wow.
Looking at the time, critically, the band thought it was their best. Christ, the album was their best record. Critics at the time thought it was their best record. Looking at it now, I looked at AllMusic to kind of get an idea of what the kind of other consensus is that it's not their best record and it's one of their weakest records. It's also one of the least popular records. If you look at Last FM plays, it's down
Factor
there.
in the low ratings on Rate Your Music.
Yeah. So it has a higher score, but it's purely because I think the people who are rating this album are Crass fans. So they're naturally going to give a higher rating, and the earlier Crass records are going to draw the attention of maybe some lesser Crass fans. And it's strange how you have to take in the number of ratings and the score equally when you're looking at Rate Your Music and Last.fm and AllMusic, basically all these sites. Most people seem to think Stations of the Crass is the actual best album. So I listened to a little bit of the first 3 records just to be do I like Crass? Do I not? Is this the worst album to listen to? It may be one of the worst albums to listen to by them. I don't know that I do like Crass, though. I listened to
this one may be the least exemplary.
Mm-hmm. I thought the best one was Penis Envy. It's the one where Steve Ignorant doesn't sing at all. It's entirely sung by only the women in the band. So only Eve and Joy sing.
Yeah.
On that record. And I would have much rather they all sound like that record.
I may give that one a shot.
Yeah. It's the second most popular album on Rate Your Music. So that gives you an idea. But I didn't really care that much for Stations of the Crass and Feeding of 5,000 either. So, I don't know. I don't think I'm a Crass fan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't begrudge a Crass fan.
No, because they're important. And
they're genuinely important.
Yeah. They inspired so many people going forward. Their politics are pretty cool.
They're very, very strong left leaning politics, and
they may be one of the most
consistent anarchist DIY approach to making music and making and releasing music. I mean,
they're probably politically. I mean, punk has always been sort of political, especially coming out of the UK. The Pistols were political, but not. I mean, but not substantial.
The Clash were super political. Joe Strummer was, very outspokenly left, but they signed to major labels. You know,
I think the Crass is
they play Rock the Casbah on, corporate owned rock radio stations.
So I
like the song, but sure.
Crass is the first most important political band in punk?
I could say that. I could get behind that argument.
They are I guess the Clash were very important and very political earlier on. I guess they lived it. Dead Kennedys too, very political. The first album is 79, but Crass's first album is 79 as well. So, yeah, I guess the most impactful political punk band from this time period, whereas their stuff is still followed. They inspired anarcho-punk, which is an entire genre.
I feel like I would love to do an actual study of your starting point in punk and how much that dictates. I'm trying to formulate this thought as I'm explaining it. Like the Sex Pistols, you get out of pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well, you only have one record to really listen to.
True. But then you maybe don't even stick with punk that long. I feel like the people who listen to the Sex Pistols as teenagers may not always be punks. I think maybe if you get into like the Dead Kennedys really early on, you probably move on to more punk stuff. But you don't listen to the Dead Kennedys that much. I feel like that's kind of true of us. Because I mean, in a lot of like all of the early punk stuff that we got into really close together, I feel like if you get into Crass, like you're always gonna be a regular Crass listener.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, maybe it's something you hadn't listened to in a long time, but you're never gonna be like, oh no. Like sometimes when you hear a Dead Kennedy song now, you're like, okay.
Oh no. Like, all right.
And like Misfits, you're like, okay.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh, we sure like those choruses.
Ooh, don't read the lyrics.
Danzig's a great meme. Ramones. What does it say about you if you're like? I guess everybody comes back. The Ramones are kind of evergreen. I don't know anybody who like.
Well, I don't know. There are people like to think of the Ramones as very entry level.
Yeah.
But not something that you actually listen to. I think those people are wrong. The Ramones are great.
Yeah.
Their first like half of their discography is so good and worth listening to semi-regularly. I think those people just didn't spend enough time with the Ramones.
Yeah. They got our greatest hits and got out.
And like I think with a band like The Clash, I feel like you kind of go through Clash phases. Like I feel like you kind of work through their discography like over a stretch of time. Like you spend a lot of time with their first album, and then you move on, and you spend a lot of time with Give 'Em Enough Rope, and then you move on, and you spend a lot of time with London Calling, and then you move on. You know, I feel like that's a band that I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I also
maybe I'm totally making this up. So
yeah, well, we're just talking out our ass
and talking out of our crass.
How long have we been? Oh my god, we went for a really long
episode.
We
want to give this a rate.
This I give it a 3.0.
Deep thoughts on Crass. Yeah, I actually give it a 3.0 too. I think personally I might rate it more like a 2.5. But it's more important than that.
Yeah, it's too important. If it wasn't Crass,
you can tell that they were influenced by free jazz because you only say that you like it.
This reminds me of some French new wave that I watched not too long ago. We have in-jokes going on right here. Dylan likes jazz now, and I'm into French films. So
yeah.
I did want to call out. Did you hear the song that sounds like that? Punky Chips Ahoy.
That's the one that's the greatest working class ripoff, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Punky
That's
Chips.
the one that goes, oi, oi, oi.
Yeah. That's our clip.
Yeah, it is.
It's so funny. Crass is the inspiration for a Chips Ahoy commercial. All right.
How many people remember that commercial?
Punky Chips Ahoy. Oi, oi, oi. Not punky. What's the monkey line?
Chunky,
not punky. And didn't somebody else I thought it was a monkey that says it, though.
I don't know.
Monkey Cop. Hey, that's a commentary, too. Somebody was subversive at the Chips Ahoy advertising firm. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. We talked a long time about Crass. We're not going to talk as much about our EP.
It's very easy to not talk very much about our EP.
Yeah. So it's number 51 on the EP charts, and it is Battalion of Saints and their debut EP, Fighting Boys. We're the.
There's a
Are they fighting boys? Are they boys that fight? Battalion of Saints are a hardcore band from. Yes, are a hardcore band.
You Google boy fight.
The boy fighters. Battalion of Saints are a hardcore band from San Diego, California, because they are still active.
Yes.
They formed in 1980. Like I said, this is their debut EP, and it was put out on Neutrons Records, which I believe is their own label, because the only other release they have is another Battalion of Saints EP. The personnel on this record is George Anthony on vocals, Chris Smith on guitar, Dennis Frame on bass, and Ted Olson on drums. And the record was produced by the band and Randy Full, whoever that guy is. So, Battalion of Saints, huh? It's funny, the last time we talked about 1982, we talked about Articles of Faith, and I've always lumped these two bands together. Articles of Faith.
They're the same band.
And Battalion of Saints are the same band.
Yeah.
I'd say
I like Articles of Faith more.
Yeah. They're a little weirder. I liked them a little more. But I will say, this is not exactly what I expected it to be. So, I was kind of expecting standard California hardcore punk, like the stuff that's like early Black Flag, early Circle Jerks, fast scale, hardcore scales. But I was surprised at how good the guitar work was on this record. Like, there were some solos.
Yeah, Battalion of Saints, and I think this is more true the further you get into their discography, but they always leaned pretty metallic.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know that they ever go full-blown crossover.
No, and I'm thinking that in terms of like they were probably listening to Judas Priest and Iron Maiden. I don't get the feeling that they ever went like Metallica, thrash.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the songs are pretty melodic too.
Yeah. Like I always there's the different tiers of hardcore bands from this time period. There's your icons, Black Flag, Minor Threat, and then there's your like outliers, like they came up in the scene, but they're so vastly different, like your Husker Du's and your Minutemen.
Right.
And then there's the entire sea of the same type of band, essentially.
Anything that came out of Texas.
Yeah, Zero Boys. your early TSOL.
Yeah.
Your DOAs. Your
whole like Northeast, SSD, Boston, New York stuff.
Yeah, like it's just like they all have the same quality to them, and they're all equally the same. And I don't know. I guess I was wrong about what type of hardcore Battalion of Saints were. Like the guitar work was better than I thought it would be, and like how I was wrong about Articles of Faith, they were weirder than I thought they would. They're closer to someone like a D Cruisin' than an SSD Control. But in a sea of hardcore bands, they didn't go far enough, I guess, to be super memorable. Like, looking at the 1982 hardcore records, like I specifically pulled up hardcore records only, and they included stuff like the Dead Kennedys and Misfits and the Descendents. And I guess technically they're hardcore records, but they're not your normal hardcore records. Like, Misfits are way too melodic. Dead Kennedys are too surfy. Descendents are too poppy, I guess. So, like, the strictly hardcore records is your Faith Void Split. Black Flag put out TV Party 7-inch.
Yeah.
7 Seconds put out Skins, Brains, and Guts. Every one of those records is a vastly different record. And it's like, this EP is like, oh, okay. It doesn't have the standout to make it an essential listen. It doesn't have the impressive guitar work of your Bad Brains. It doesn't have your tough, fun vocals of Henry Rollins. It's not even as fast as 7 Second songs are at this time. It's just a bunch of not enough.
Fighting boys heading off to war one more time. Defend the nation, the modern wars are out to kill the brainwashed minds. Sitting on top of the hover over the killing zone, getting ready to land. Stop the attack in the name of God, country, and kill our life. Give them the glory, fighting boys have no choice but to fight. Fighting boys gonna go to the streets and go wild. Can't
Yeah. I mean, there's not even like, what else is there? I mean, there's What We Do Is Secret by the Germs came out in 82. That's a pretty standout Germs record.
What's on that one?
That's got Lexicon Devil, Caught in My Eye. I mean, that's the white cover with the blue Germs burn.
Yeah. Germs, I feel like, are one of those discography bands, though. Like,
Yeah.
Nobody listens to albums. They listen to the discography.
Yeah.
Discharge is on here, but they would be closer associated with Crass.
Yeah. I mean, and there's Rudimentary Peni, there's
The Fear record.
Skit Slickers.
Angry Samoans. MDC. Yeah, MDC. Battalion of Saints are more like MDC than...
Yeah, a little better.
Yeah, I'd say they're better. But even, like, I don't know, that Circle Jerks record that came out this year, too. I didn't really like that record, but it's a little more memorable than this EP. I think the best song on the EP is probably the title track, Fighting Boys.
Yeah. I mean, it's real short.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't mind it. It was fine.
Yeah.
Didn't make me a fan.
No. And I even tried some of their later... Like, they have one full-length album. I listened to a little bit of the tracks on it. And, first of all, George's voice is much higher on that album. Like, I thought it was even a different singer. But it's still him. He's just yelling. I don't know. Higher. I don't know how you describe it, but... And that first album came out in 84, and it's starting to enter that phase of hardcore records that sound really thin. So I didn't really care to... Like, I definitely preferred the warmer tone of this EP than the production of the full length. I don't know. They also didn't release enough material to make a huge impact. They are also a complete discography band themselves.
True, yeah.
You know, everything they recorded on one CD. Minor Threat did that too, but that's a pretty good CD, you know.
Yeah. Well, any other deep thoughts?
Nah.
Any other, what would you give this a rating? What rating would you give? What would you... Words. I can't talk.
Well, the EP has a 3.49 on Rate Your Music, and it is their second most rated album overall behind their full-length Second Coming. People like that one more, probably because it's just an album and not an EP. I'd give it a 3.
Sure.
I didn't think it was bad, and I thought the guitar playing was good, and I thought the vocals were good. It's just the songwriting wasn't anything special. It's too short. I mean, EPs are hard to review, essentially, because it's just so short, but yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'll never listen to it ever again, but it's fine. We had some milquetoast ratings this week.
Well, you play the hand you're dealt.
Well, speaking of hands played, what are we folding next? I don't know. I can't think. How do you play the lottery?
Well, you buy a ticket.
And then you
either win or you don't.
And you watch the TV.
Yeah. So, what's our Powerball number for next week?
Well, our Powerball is the year 2007. We got number 117 on the album charts, and it is American Steel with their album Destroy Their Future. And,
yeah.
And our EP is number 10 on the EP charts, and it's Trap Them and their EP Seance Prime. That's a weird, very different records.
Yeah, couldn't be further apart.
Yeah. Continue to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We're at punklettapod. We have an email address. It's punklettapod@gmail.com. And our website is punklettapod.simplecast.fm. This was a weird episode.
You can't say that at every episode.
I do?
You almost do. Well, that's a weird year. We do that a lot. Looking at the charts. Oh, whoa, weird. Is it?
Maybe everything is weird to me. I don't
Just going through life, confused about everything.
Whoa, weird.
Massively uncomfortable. Just
now that's me.
Well,
if you made it this far, I don't know what to say.
Did we win?
Oh shit. Corey remembers that better than we do.
It was a complete draw.
Yeah. That's
even split.
Right down the middle. Can we change it to like bowling references? All right, Punky Chips Ahoy!
Play the clip.
Punky chips ahoy! Oi, oi, oi! Jam-packed with chocolate, we're really neat. All the mommies love us 'cause we're nice and sweet. Punky chips ahoy! Oi, oi! Punky chips ahoy! Oi, oi, oi! Punky chips ahoy! Oi, oi, oi!
No, no, no. Not punky. Chunky. Chunky Chips Ahoy. Big, delicious chunks of chocolate. They're all loony.
Chunky Chips Ahoy! Jam-packed with big chunks of chocolate. They're crazy with chips.
Oi!